The Addams Family is back. No, not that one. The indie horror family that has made films like Hellbender and Hell Hole. This time, they're presenting the Shudder original, Mother of Flies. It's got some sickening visuals and excellent practical effects. But is the story worth it? When a young woman faces a deadly diagnosis, she seeks dark magic from a witch in the woods. But every cure comes at a cost. So with a limited cast, we're taken into an enigmatic and foreboding forest to watch a potential nut job perform very funky acts with animals, thorns, and then eventually people. John and Zelda Addams play father and daughter, which isn't a stretch because they're that in real life, but they're traveling to see a supposed witch who lives in this fairy tale villain-looking type of house that's hidden in the forest. Now the home, it's overgrown with foliage and it's camouflaged from just the average eyes. The only real landmark that would show there's even a structure nearby is this massive stone pyre that's erected off into the distance in front of the house. Toby Poser, John's wife and Zelda's mom, is not only the third family member in the directing trio here, but she also plays the witch. And she's the most dynamic figure in the movie, mainly because she's the one who doles out all the weirdness on the people approaching her for a cure. I was both drawn into the characterization and then repulsed. The stuff we watch, it's methodical and eerie, with a lot of vague chanting and rituals that we aren't meant to really understand, but can be affected by them nonetheless. Now, the premise for the film, it's intriguing. You got a young woman who's got this severe illness, and as some last-ditch effort, she visits a witch to do her witchy magic and ideally provide a cure. Now, all the while, the young woman's dad is along for the ride, not completely sure of his role in the process because the pair just appear to be estranged. And in an effort not to turn the daughter away, he agrees to things that most regular people would nope right out of. And as the rituals progress, the strangeness also increases, possibly moving from mild psychosis to full-blown physical assault. Then, intermixed throughout, we get puzzling flashbacks that involve the witch, possibly hinting that she may actually have a touch of the powers. Now, the themes addressed within the story, they're surprisingly thought out and deep. There are multiple levels of grief and sacrifice, along with trust, the cycling of life, religious zealotry, and rebirth. And it's not like the narrative is beating us over the head with these ideas. At its core, the movie is a gnarly folk horror filled with grotesque imagery and vomit-worthy sequences. But just below the surface, the subtext creates a clever arc. Now, I've mentioned the visuals a couple of times throughout this. Seriously, the movie shines in its use of practical effects. There are a few instances of CGI which vary in their impressiveness, but from the maggoty gore to the chunky puke and then just snot-dripping noses, when the story wants to gross us out, it throws all it can our way, and almost always accomplishes it. There's so many puzzling, ritualistic behaviors that we get to witness. Some are unerotically sexual and somewhat perverse. Others involve unsettling movements that use nature to execute nasty body modifications. Now, the film is only 92 minutes, so it is relatively short, but the pacing does make it seem closer to 2 hours. Now, some of this comes just from the patient and disturbing scenes that have zero dialogue, or maybe only just some mumbled chanting. So these allow the camera to either slowly push in or maybe pull away from a subject as they do whatever questionable thing they're doing out amongst the trees. Now, the beginning of the movie, it's also a little rough. The story keeps the premise of the film very close to the chest for about 10-ish minutes before letting us kind of know where this might be headed. And then interwoven within the healing portion of the narrative is a slight mystery, and mostly informed by the flashbacks with the witch. And when these visions are coupled with a few revelations that the dad uncovers, a layer of perverted faith is showcased, strengthening the story and then reinforcing those underlying themes. Now, this might seem a little harsh, but this is the third Addams Family film I've seen, and while the stories aren't going to be for everybody, I do like to support the indie films. The acting here, though, outside of Toby Poser, who's portraying the witch, it's very stunted and emotionless. Maybe it's just more stifled and unsure. Both John and Zelda consistently feel like they're searching their memory for their lines, creating some unnatural, even frustrating exchanges that don't resemble the flow of any natural conversation. And this is where the movie suffers the most. While the visuals are fantastic, the world building is disturbing, and the story itself shows a lot of promise, the acting creates a barrier for us as the audience to fully engage with the characters because all of their interactions feel artificial, sometimes even off-putting. That being said, though, for me, this is the best of the Addams Family films that I've seen. While the acting and dialogue aren't nearly as polished as they should be, making the flow oddly forced, the heart of the story, the themes it addresses, and the superb practical effects make for a nasty and mostly enjoyable watching experience. I wouldn't recommend eating while watching this, and you probably won't want to visit this particular witch for any remedies, unless you enjoy bugs, venom, and sketchy fungal edibles, and then unquestionably unsterilized healing instruments. Mother of Flies employs heartfelt grief and acceptance while dousing us with a variety of hazardous body fluids. There's some sex and nudity, a bunch of profanity, and then a tremendous amount of spectacularly gruesome violence. I give Mother of Flies 3.5 out of 5 couches. Again, just like the other films, this isn't going to be for everybody. But if you enjoy supporting indie filmmakers and then also like to be grossed out, give this one a go. Okay, so what's a visually nasty film that you've watched? I know a lot of people are going to mention maybe The Human Centipede, but I watched a Turkish horror called Baskin a few years ago, and that one is just not right. Oh, let me know some of your picks, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.